Hi everyone, and welcome back to Pitch Lab. For those who are joining us for the first time, Pitch Lab is a podcast with a pitch, powered by Friends of Bata, an international entrepreneurship platform supporting the next generation of founders through events, mentorships, and conversations just like this one that is happening today. The concept is very simple. We bring together founders from different backgrounds, industries, countries, and generations to discuss what it actually takes to build a company today. Not just the successes and the unicorns and the nice part of it, but really what it takes. As e-commerce and commerce becomes increasingly automated, how do brands stay distinctive? How do brands stay personal and human? And to discuss that, I'm joined by Luca Ambrosini, founder of Sartiq, and Maximo Robles, founder and CEO of Sense App. So let's get started. Let's jump straight into business. Luca, the floor is all yours. You have 3 minutes to pitch. What are you building? Why does it matter? And why should people care? Go for it.
Thanks, Vale. So I'm CEO and co-founder of Sartiq, and we are an end-to-end platform for fashion content creation. Basically, if you run a fashion company, you're always eager to get more content for your social media, for your e-commerce catalog, and you're shooting all the time since you have connection coming. What used to be the case is that you start months ago the shooting with planning, logistics, you have a whole collection coming from all over the world that needs to come to a place, usually Milan. And then with the models you shoot all that you need to do. So you're on a set, tight schedule, 50 items, and you need to bring home 200 photos in a day. With Sartiq, what we have built is a complete digital platform in which you create the fashion shootings. So in a nutshell, you drop in very basic photos of your item, just taken with a good light, because the color of the garments is fundamental in fashion, and so you need a good light. Then Sartiq learns your brand identity. So it learns what makes you you, which means your own light, your own styling. If you love one extra button to be open, how you want layering, it learns who you are, and it creates content for you. So if you need an extra item for your social media, it knows your identity and will create one. If you need, which is very common, like you get 2,000 items that need to go online in 1 week, Sartiq just does it for you because it knows how many photos you want, the resolution, and all the management. So the complete shooting process becomes digital. All the logistics goes away, which means that creativity steps in, because at the end, the idea is still the one that counts. So you try to feed into the AI what you want to create, and Sartiq as a creative execution engine creates the photo for you. And it has tons of reviews. So as a creative, you can get in and say, it doesn't really feel like me, because the devil is in the detail. So you can say small things like open the extra button, roll up the cuffs a little bit. Even though it's an AI-based platform, and it is based on technology, that's what we love building. Every photo that our clients get is manually checked, inspected, and if necessary, post-produced, which means that, to say bluntly, you don't get 6 fingers, but also means that if your item has a tiny detail like a button, which, for example, has some letters on it which represent your brand, you're 100% sure that even the tiny details that make you you will be out in the photos. So we think that fashion brands that wants to move fast and to stay competitive, they can innovate their shooting process and also the design process a little bit, since you can start from 3D, this is what we're doing with tons of brands, or you can start from real items. To close up, I tell you also what we do not do. We are not the best platform for small brands. So if you have like 20, 30 items, we are not made for you. But if you are a big enterprise, that usually means that you gross at least 100 million and you have quite big quantities or very precise brand identity, we are probably the best platform on the market because we're built exactly for that use case to produce the content that you need. So that's us in a nutshell.
Wow, nice. Thank you so much for pitching to Pitch Lab audience. I really love the storytelling. It was really clear the problem and the opportunity that you found. I'm jumping in with a little bit of comms feedback before leaving the floor to Maximo. I really understood that it was AI for understanding companies' brand identities, and it's more about creativity and less about logistics. I think that was really nice. What I would have used a little bit more, and my only feedback comms-wise, would have been more examples than buttons. I think you centered the examples a lot in buttons. Maybe like sleeves or like other applications, I think would have been great to strengthen your story. But overall, I think you really were good at pointing out what is for, what it's not for. So yeah, I leave the floor to the senior expert in this room, which is Maximo. Maximo, please, radical feedback. What stood out to you? What was the most compelling? If you were a customer, investor, partner, what would you want to learn more about?
Yeah, like thanks for having me here. And I would say, senior, I'm constantly learning, so I love to actually be involved in this kind of scenarios. I think overall the pitch was great, Luca. Really great job. You did a good job, also like empathizing about the product, no, and the problem that you're trying to address. And during the pitch, I actually, even like as a partner, from obviously like I deeply have a connection with what, if there I could be a potential customer, a potential investor, I could be a potential user, no, of your platform. So I think you did a great job, like showing the value that your product offers, and also like I was also concerned about like the quality of the AI, no, about the six fingers. It's true that actually that's one of the main things that came to mind while you were pitching. Is well, like, okay, but am I going to have like six fingers, seven fingers, or are so? And also like the manual check, I think it solves a problem and also provides with a solution for it, you know. And I also like the concern there, like quickly brought me to mind of like, okay, if there's a manual work involved in it, then maybe what's the scalability of it, like given like in the mid to long term vision, you know. At the end of the day, if you actually get more customers, get more volume, you know, how are you be thinking about scaling that manual interaction, or that intersection between AI and manual work is going to be also like super important. Would have loved to also listen more about the team, or the team, about who is involved, like what's your experience, Luca, as a whole, and what brought you to actually be building this, you know, and who is building this with you. Also, for the constraints in time, I guess, like it's something that just while you were limited to that. In terms of like the business model, giving the numbers, the stage that your company is at, like how much would this cost me if I was a customer? How much would this cost you, or how much revenue you're bringing into the table as of now, or what are the projections in terms of scale if I was going to invest? Those would be my little nuggets. Overall, I really loved like how you pitched it. It was super clear the problem that you're solving and the way you're addressing it. So yeah, kudos to that.
Wow, amazing feedback, Maximo. Thank you so much. You both began like your entrepreneurship careers in a very different way. I would love right now to know more about Maximo, a little bit who you are, because you haven't had the chance yet. So please, if you would like to introduce yourself as well.
I'm Maximo. I'm from Barcelona, from Spain. I've always been deeply passionate about technology and about impacting people through technology. I've had the pleasure and privilege to work in several companies throughout my career. I always had like a lot of learnings, and I carry a long font of memories. But I've always like had like deeply inside the like this burn inside of creating my own thing at some point. I knew that I actually wanted to start my own thing, but before that, I wanted also to have that startup experience. So after like working at LinkedIn in Dublin and then in Sao Paulo, I actually came back closer to Spain, back again to Barcelona, and joined a startup that also was in hyper growth mode that was called Buddy. And I joined when the team was pretty small, like they were 20 to 30 people building up in 2019 a Tinder for flatmates. And the company exploded. We actually grew the team to more than 150 people. So a lot of learning, and I got like my hands dirty of like actually building something from bottom up, you know. So constantly we have more buying channels than ever before in history. And what I realized 3 years ago is that every time it's easier for us to discover products, but it's becoming amazingly difficult to remember about the things that you actually want to buy and to actually complete that purchase in the channel that you actually want to buy. So as a consequence, a lot of things that we discover day by day, either through the streets or in Instagram or in TikTok, things that we actually want to buy, since there's no unique place for you to remember about the things that you actually want to buy and buy them, a lot of those potential sales do not happen, and you end up forgetting about the things that you want to buy. And the ones that lose are the brands, are the retailers around the world that every single day they lose money because users don't have an easy way to connect with those products. And that's what we've created. We've created an app that eventually enables local and emerging brands to actually scale by providing them like an app that allows users to save any product that they like from any store, like a Dropbox for shopping. And then based on what they're actually saving, we recommend them local and emerging brands that connect with them.
Maximo, you mentioned something very important about being able to connect personally and emotionally with the problem you're trying to solve. Why did you decide to start, and what problem you were personally connected to before starting to build what you're building?
The first one, and I believe the most important one that connects me with actually the problem, and it's what keeps me going every single day, is the story of my mother. And basically, the story is the following. My mother used to have, like in the 90s, a small local shop in Barcelona. And basically, back in the day, the only store that you competed with were the local stores around you. You only had competition within your local neighborhood, let's say. When I finished school, when I was 7 years old or 8 years old, I went back and see her like close the store every single day. I was super, super frustrated because every single day while I was waiting for her to close the store, I could see people come in the store every single day. Some of them bought products. A lot of them left the store without buying. They would continuously like check around, like a lot of items, even like move around stuff, like as we all do when we go to a physical store, no? And ask questions, but a lot of them actually left the store without completing a purchase. Like as years have gone by and nowadays executing on sense, what I've come to realize is that eventually we as customers, no, as consumers, we like to buy when we want to buy. And sometimes, and when we are able to buy, when you enter a store, sometimes you're just checking around and sometimes you are just going out of the store and you'll eventually end up buying right now on the online store, or you'll end up buying when there's a discount. But without the retailer having data on that intention or being able to capture that intention, the truth is that a lot of brands are not able to scale, are losing money every single day. So that small little story about my mom and how eventually she had to close her store because she was unable to actually to retain, get those loyal customers and actually scale her business is the one that is burning every single day. No, then there's also like another story that it's more recent and prior to the launch of Sense, that I would eventually go into a store and could see people that were taking pictures of products inside the store, or they were going to a shop and they take pictures of products. And I consider this strange habit like every time more and more frequent. And I eventually stopped people on the street and I was like, sorry, but why are you taking pictures? And a lot of them actually were telling me, like, no, so that this way I can remember about the products that I actually want to buy. Well, that made me realize that at the end of the day, we actually buy in different moments. We don't have like a place to store all that information. And eventually that manifested to the app that we're right now like serving, no, and launching. So I would say those are the kind of stories and links that we have with the problem.
I truly hate my phone gallery because it became a to-do list. Like every time I go online and then I see a LinkedIn post and I need to act on it, screenshot. Then I go to a place and there is something, screenshot, photo. And so I understand the need for, like, every time that you have a tiny doubt in a purchase decision, you may take a screenshot or a note or something and you just forget, but you usually never find again. Or like cross-tracking should hit you some point down the road. But it feels pretty amazing to have a spot to pause a little bit and to say, okay, I will evaluate it tomorrow, but at least there is like a safe place to do it instead of just polluting your own gallery because it's supposed to be the place for your best moments.
Absolutely. And do you have any similar story of how you began? Were you connected personally with the problem, or maybe not?
No, not at all. Like I know that every business book tells you that you need to fall in love with your problem. For us, it was not the case at all. For us, we truly love building stuff. I think that there isn't anything amazing as building something, show it to someone else, and they say, "Oh, this is useful." But like that being a glass, that being an iPhone, that being a piece of software. And both me and my co-founders, what we love is the sense of building. Maybe even every once in a while, even too much for the sake of it. And that's why I told you that we burned the company out of it. And now we're trying to learn and correct. But what we are somehow truly satisfied by is to see clients happy and basically coming for more. Because like at the beginning, they don't trust us that much. Then they give us a little bit of trust for like 200 photos. And then the next week they want 2000. And we love that feeling. So I think that we could build kind of anything with a good team. Because I actually never played sports at a very high level, at a team sport. But I feel that a company, startup needs to feel the same way. Like you are with 20 people in a room trying to build something amazing. You really need to trust the people close to you to deliver value and to care. I read a book a few years ago which said that the maximum value of a company is directly and linearly linked to the amount of people that you manage to make care about your product. And I think that for us is building. It's people that want to join our company because they love building very hard technology, which everyone says it's impossible to build, but we try to find a way to build it. So sorry to say, no struggling story on our side, even though I would love to have one or to cure diabetes. But at this stage, we just found a problem with a very intense market pool. And we decided to, I would say, sacrifice 7 or 8 years of our life to try to build against it.
It's very important to mention that sometimes you can start developing a product from like a passion or a problem that you easily identify, like Maximo's case, or just for the passion of building something, like Luca and his obsession with technology and developing new ideas and new business concepts. Both of you are building in commerce, but from very different angles, as we realized before. So I want us to tackle the topic of AI and the future of commerce right now. So according to Gartner, by 2028, 60% of brands are expecting to use agentic AI to deliver one-on-one customer interactions. So at the same time, AI assistants and conversational interfaces are increasingly becoming part of how consumers discover products and make decisions. What happens when AI becomes the main interface between brands and consumers? Can AI make commerce more human?
How will AI change commerce? Like when I try to a little bit look into the future, I usually try to look at billionaires because they definitely have no money constraint. They can pay anyone to do anything. So what they can define what's the optimal service for anything. And I think that commerce is split into two categories. One is a complete delegation through an agent. And I can give you very concrete examples. I bought a bed a couple of weeks ago that has all the rooms beneath it to just have all the boxes or your extra space. And I literally sent the bill into ChatGPT and I told it, go on Amazon, find the right boxes. I don't care about the dimension. Order them. I want them on my doorstep, then I will try them. Because luckily, Amazon will get them back if they're wrong. And I literally didn't look at any dimension, any space, whatever. They got there right. And that for me is the optimal service. And if you are a billionaire and you need to buy a utility item, you just get someone else to do it. But let's say that you are a billionaire again and you want to buy a shoe from Loro Piana. You go to the shop and you go yourself. And you could easily send someone to buy things for you. You can get someone to get all your measures, all your garment measures and go there. But you still decide to go. Because the buying experience is what you're actually paying for. And I think that the very same thing will not be changed by AI that much. And that's why I think that from what we are doing, We are trying to create the best content personalized for every person, still remaining on brand, which is the big challenge. Like there was a scandal a few weeks ago. Do you remember the brand True Classic? It's a t-shirt brand with a very specific fitting, and they tried to work with Meta to get personalized AI-generated content for the users. And they are usually trying to sell to people in their own 40s, which are a little bit out of shape, like not perfect, and they have a very specific fitting here on the chest. And Meta started to generate images of grannies wearing those t-shirts, and they started to publish that to all the users. And so they completely smashed the brand. So I think that the hard thing is how do you find the right balance between personalization, which means unique to you, but also inside the brand. And what Sartiq does is trying to encode what your brand is and what you are, and try to generate the optimal content, which is a very long way to say that if you want to sell a t-shirt to Luca, probably you need a content of someone that is blondish like me, a little bit taller, a little bit younger, a little bit slimmer, but still coherent with the brand. So I think that for utility websites, I think they're done. They will have no users anymore. But for good items, like for or soulful items for the whole lifestyle industry, probably 99% of what Maximo is helping brands sell online, the experience will become more important and content will be the king. Because the last thing to add here is that AI is making content generation become easier. 10 years ago, if you went on the website of Prada and you found 2 photos of an item, you were happy. And you were like, oh, this is very good content, I can buy from it. Now, if you don't find 12 photos, 2 videos, specs of the item, you say, that's outrageous. Like, how can you dare give this to me? So I think that AI is raising the bar of content by a lot. And we are trying to help brands to raise that level of content, which usually means more and more personalized. So I think that people will want more soul in the content, but still they would like to see a brand. I think that AI, like when you need to create a content, you have ideas and creative execution. They are 2 separate things. Right now, creative execution means budget and the limit. But AI kind of collapses that to 0. So the only thing that remains is the idea. So if you are a very smart human with a very good idea or a way you see the world, and you create a content that resonates with people, now you can sell more. But if you're out of ideas, then you're done because the level of production is very high and just making things blink around doesn't work anymore. So somehow I think that AI will force you to have innovative ideas. Otherwise, you're just what we call AI slop.
I mean, this could give like for an entire hour, 2 hours, no, of conversation. My thoughts on AI, and when I think about the impact that it's going to have, I always like thinking on 3 main, like I would say, scenarios. One on the shopper side, one on the retailer side, and then one on our business side. On the shopper side, on the way that we're actually going to buy. So basically, what I see is that users shop. We as shoppers, we value a lot flexibility. No, going back to my mom's story, we want to buy, but we want to buy when we want to buy, when we can afford to buy, and when we actually want to take that decision. Right now, when you look as a whole into like that shopper experience, we are constantly bombarded by ads. We are constantly bombarded by a lot of interactions just in order to convert and having us buy something. You go to Instagram and you see the same ad, that same ad, that same ad. That is more or less targeted because the algorithms at the end of the day show you products that you eventually would like to buy or not, and you end up buying. So volume, transaction, and then you convert. But if you think like on the long run, those algorithms I primarily focused on repetition and more on that transaction and driving transactions for retailers. They're not that conscious about having like the shopper actually capture that intention of getting to know like what the shopper actually wants to buy. What ends up happening most often is that, you eventually get like one sale or you buy one product, but repetition on that actual brand is every time like lesser. And the conversion is not that there's not a mid to long-term relationship with the product or the brand that you're buying. In this sense, what I'm seeing on the shopper side is we are going to see an evolution on like the way we actually find, discover, and actually buy products, driven also like thanks to the technology that we are experimenting and the improvements in AI. Thanks to like our platform and the infrastructure that we're building, we actually know like if you like to buy more physically or online, what products do you save, what products do you actually share with your network, what products you're actually buying. So all these data points are primarily super important to eventually give you the best recommendations. So I see a future in which shopping is becoming more conscious, thanks to also like the improvements of AI that gives us the capabilities of actually do better recommendations, better discovery, and eventually, going back to the point that you were mentioning about agentic AI, maybe in the future we don't have more websites or we don't have more e-commerce, because eventually we will just have like a digital storefront that it could be a phone, in which I would just say, hey, I'm going out tonight and I need some shoes. And someone will eventually go and transact and I'll have it delivered in my doorstep. But in order for that to happen, we actually need to platforms that are building infrastructure in order to make those recommendations, make those the discovery of those products more conscious and more aware. I would say like AI is going to increase a lot better the conversion and also like the making shopping more human and more adapted to every single user, which nowadays is not yet happening. Right now, on the retailer side, I do believe that commerce is going to evolve into a commerce in which physical stores are not going to disappear, but they're going also to evolve. What I believe is going to happen in 5 to 10 years time, you'll eventually enter a store, but it will be more like as a showroom in which maybe that in the store there will be not that many stock actually of a brand, but most of the transactions will happen in another entity. And basically you'll be able to check around just as like the people that were entering my mom's store, but then you'll leave and maybe by the time you go back home, you'll have all the things that you've seen in your door with all the bags. Right now, technology is there and it's available for everything and it's just fragmented. You find and discover products in a platform, then you transact in another platform, and then you get it delivered through another platform. I eventually see that consolidating into one single infrastructure that eventually will allow every single brand to actually like create a unified experience. And then on the business side, I see, as Luca was saying, AI having a deep influence into the way of commerce. If we look at commerce as a whole, going back to prehistoric times, where people started to transact and you get one thing for another, and then you went to physical commerce, and then you went to online commerce, and then to mobile commerce. We are entering a new era of commerce. The one that we're going to be seeing in the next 5 years is primarily going to be focused in agentic commerce. These agents interacting in marketplaces like us. But also, I think the next evolution after this one is going to be what I like to call agentic human commerce, which is going to be the natural intersection between agents and humans interacting between each other and blending between each other. Because at the end of the day, shoppers do value like interacting with the brand and building that sense of community. I think it's going to primarily be super important also. And that's what we're building up from there too, from that vision. So those are my 2 cents that are not that 2 cents, but on the 3 dimensions. Yeah.
It's so interesting to hear you talk about the future of how we're going to buy actually. And you really have like a very good base on where to project. So thank you for sharing with us. Do you guys think like conversational commerce, like talking to ChatGPT and like the package arriving to your house is going to become mainstream them like in the next few years?
Yes, for some demographics. I don't know, but I'm starting to feel old. And when I need to do something of which the ticket is above a couple hundred, I pull out my laptop. I don't do a real purchase on the phone. And I kind of love technology. I kind of build software for a living. And I think that similar things happens to my mom or my dad. To give you an example, I bought my car online. I bought a Tesla. And when I told my dad that I bought a car online, he was like, "Are you crazy? Like they stole your money. How is that possible? Cars don't get sold online." And I think that somehow while we age, we learn a commerce behavior, and it's quite hard to take it out because at the end you're pulling out money that you worked for. On the other side, I think that younger generation will do that a lot, and we see this happening already with TikTok Shop. People are addicted to it. So I see GPT shop in general becoming mainstream pretty soon for younger generation. I think it will start from smaller purchases with very high intent, but very small purchases. Like when you're walking close to an ice cream shop and you say that you want to ice cream, but the same equivalent online, that will happen through ChatGPT like yesterday. But I also think that we will not accept anymore that a computer doesn't understand us. Like everyone is speaking about AI, but what does it really mean? Like people like me or any nerd has been able to speak with computers since the 1970s. The issue was that everyone else was not able to do it. And like right now, when you go on e-commerce, you need to understand it. The good thing about ChatGPT is that it is human, kind of. So you speak with it, and it kind of has to understand you. Like it's his own fault he doesn't understand. While if you use a software and it doesn't work, it's your own fault. So the paradigm flips. And I think, so since we are very lazy creatures, I think we are going to expect computers to understand us from this day moving on. It will never get back. So I think that every website will become conversational. Like every computer interaction will have the strict requirement of being able to understand you from the intent you have in that moment. And we are not ready for it because it's a complete paradigm shift. And basically you need an agent behind everything to give you the right product, the right content in our site. But I don't want to get too much into Sartiq. Yeah, I think that the new generation will buy a lot on ChatGPT, but I expect that everyone else, including my mother, will expect the computer to understand her from now on. And this is a bigger paradigm shift.
I start to feel pretty old, Luca. Also, like, or in magazines or like the search bar, no WhatsApp Prime functionality that we've learned actually millennials to master actually with keywords, with to find like the best searches. Now the natural evolution of that it's being already semantic searches. And we are already starting to see those on ChatGPT. On I want a dress for tonight, no, and basically based on those searches, like ChatGPT is recommending you products or Gemini, and we're talking about like ChatGPT, but I see like every single AI model is going to primarily be linked and synced to all the marketplaces around, and it's going to be able to have a shopping functionality to it. So at the end of the day, like that's what we're primarily focused to also, like on building the infrastructure so that agents or all those ChatGPT, Gemini, when they're connecting shoppers, they actually are connecting with the infrastructure that we are actually building so that they make the searches within our app or within Sense. That's why we're launching also our app in ChatGPT, in LLM, so that initially in the future, actually, when they search, our brands are going to be discovered. And that's the main functionality because that's the way shoppers are going to be searching, but not just like on the chat, but also by voice. For me, instance, as a user, I normally, when I want to just condense certain information or even in a call, I primarily see a lot of value from what AI can also like summarize all the conversation or the main parts of a specific conversation. Voice, I think it's primarily going to have like a lot of value also with product discovery, like find me like a sofa for my apartment or pictures. What we've seen also an evolution of chatbots thanks to AI, because before like people were just asking frequently asked questions or they were using chatbots in their website just to give frequently asked questions. But right now with AI, we actually can personalize a lot that chat in order to convert. So we are integrating also through our app and making it available to all retailers, the possibility of that when someone lands in your website, they actually can open a conversation with a full sales agent that basically answers your questions around, like, let's say in a cosmetic where people normally have like several questions in regard to the products that their skin needs. So they can easily have their questions answered, but then it's fully focused on converting. Okay, are you ready to buy? You can buy from here. and we're seeing increasingly conversation converting better too. Yeah.
This is an amazing challenge from a user point of view, but I think it's harder than people expect. Because if today, let's make a concrete examples. Like tomorrow I have a flight, I need to cancel it, and I'm gonna chat with the support of the company. If I enter the chat and 10 seconds I see AI agent is answering you, my answer is like, I hate this. Like, this is gonna be the worst experience ever for me. And this is what everyone thinks. Like, as soon as you get an AI responder on the other side, it's like, no, please give me a human. I hate you. But what's the reason behind it? I think that it's just agency. At some point, you want someone that has, it's another version of call me your manager. Like if you are into a shop and there are some rules to be followed, but then you want an exception because it is very reasonable to make that. At some point, you're like, please go away, call me your manager. So that that person can be empathetic and reasonable and understand what he's doing. And right now, agents don't have agency. I mean, we are pretending that they have by calling them agent. That's very good marketing, but that's bullshit. Like they don't have agency. A few companies try to do that, and actually they put agency into their customer success agent. And then people find a way to get easy refunds. And basically they drain the money. It was Canada Airways and basically emptied the bank account. So it's very hard to give trust to a machine. We're getting back to the old concept. So I think that the first company that will be able to give final consumer the perception of having a true human experience on a website after 10 years of ruining customer expectation with chatbots will make trillions, not millions. Because I agree with you, Maximo, that voice is an amazing interface. But I think that as technology, we pushed it way too hard since 2013 or so. And for 10 years, we delivered suboptimal experiences. So now we kind of have to earn back the trust of the customer and not to have people like me say, no, another AI agent, give me a human. But I don't know what you think. Like maybe you already went through it and you find a solution.
No, definitely, and actually in the conversations on when we're integrating conversational AI to all the brands in our platform, we are also doing like a similar approach to the one that you guys are making too. That's why I asked at the beginning, because we have like agents that cover like the primarily questions and focused in converting. But if there's something that clearly requires a human, conversation is actually filtered to a human and to the brand in our case, or to the founder or to the entrepreneur, because we do see that also that shoppers also value that connection. But there's like some specific brands, especially the ones that are emerging and that they're growing, that their volume of conversation is so high that they do see value also on integrating. Like what we build up is that when we integrate your brand, we also get like a repository of all your frequently asked questions, and we keep training the agent so that eventually it becomes more natural. Also, something to have like that we should be pretty aware is that I do believe that we're in pretty much the year 0 or year 0.5 of AI. So what we believe right now is a chatbot or an agent. I think in 5 years' time or in 10 years' time, we will not see, we will eventually be able to have this podcast with actual artificial clones of Maximo, Luca, and Valentina, most certainly. And will even the audience or whoever listens to us in 10 years might not know, that it's us who are speaking, or I think we all are already seeing that evolution in the content being generated in social networks that at some point you can disregard, but the models are evolving so fast that I do believe that it will be like, at least for a specific portion of the world's population, it will take time to actually make that difference into what is an agent or not, or that might be on it too.
I really loved, and I felt so identified with what you say, that agents don't have agency, and that's bullshit yet. I think as an industry, we need to work on really, of course, relying on AI and tech as much as possible, but never forgetting the human layer. Because at least for me, I don't know if I'm more excited or scared about the future and the future of commerce. I would love to wrap up with a little bit more human, which is, how do you guys see this happening in the future? Like, what is your projection of the usage of AI and tech tools against us opening too many doors that we cannot control and therefore arriving to the point of burning out?
Yes, like my mental health is not good. So probably let's start from there. Like right now, I really feel I have agents to do anything. I have a personal project which is called Redundant, in which I'm actively trying to make myself 100% redundant. Because I think that right now, raw intelligence of AI is kind of there. We are missing tons of content about how we want to act as a human, what are our values, and how the AI should act on our behalf. And right now, every time that I know that I have like an agent not working, I feel guilt. Like I might be doing more. Like I could have that extra feature being built for a client. I might have an extra iteration about what that slide deck might look like. And I think it's very easy to fall into that trap. But I think it's kind of the same trap that brands will have in the AI-generated content to draw parallelism, because at some point, cost of creation goes to zero, which means that the only thing that counts is what to create, like the choice, basically. Right now, you can generate a song for 10 seconds, for 10 cents. But which song do you generate? How do you generate a song that people will love? And I think that will happen also to our personal lives. Like we can have agent to do anything for us, but we will quickly discover how things that we ask agent to do give us a reward, and it is a new feedback loop. So like which action done by my agent like drives me money, makes me more happy, makes me more relaxed. I'm still in the path of learning and probably in a very early phase of this learning. So right now I'm sliding toward the burnout in a very good way because of my agents not being able to do everything I wanted them to do. But I think all those people that you feel kind of responsible for, which are agents, so it's dumb, it's making people feel more productive, but also more eager to do more, which I think is a danger for our mental life in general. And I think that it is rooted into the humanization of AI. Like we think that they are people, and they will suffer if we do not get them a feedback, or if we're not maximizing them. But I never felt guilty because I didn't give an Instagram a like tonight. Like I understand that's dumb, but I think that as a generation, we are still trying to understand what ChatGPT is for us. Even the company doing that is still trying to understand what it is. Like, is it a personal assistant that will try to make us believe it is a human, or they will say it's just a software? It's still undecided. So today you can do more. Probably you can do way more useless things. So I think that people that will emerge and become great in this environment are the ones that are better at choosing what to do. Because again, execution is becoming cheap, deciding not so much.
Wow. Really good reflection, Luca. Like you make me think a lot, and yeah, I think mental health is super important, and actually super important to actually constantly address the point that you're at. As a founder, and as a founder, you navigate so many ups and downs. It's a long journey. It's a long journey. So going back to the initial point, like that's why. For me, at least, like what's helping is being linked to the problem, so that connection I think is super important. But then actually, this is one of the things that I've lately been having a really important thought on mental health, basically because I'm in the entrepreneurial journey. I've met and I constantly meet lots of entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, also serial entrepreneurs, and all of them. I always I'm a full endorser of being able to have a mental stability or checkpoint. It's super important. Actually, I'm lucky. I'm lucky because also my partner is a psychologist. My girlfriend, she's a psychologist, so it's something that actually links to us because I give mental health, it's one of my top focus priorities, and something that I actually like. I try to be really aware as of now, also because right now we are technology is going to evolve like at such speed and such full speed as Luca was mentioning, that every time it's going to increase the importance, no, of to be mentally strong, because eventually what's going to happen, my previous CEO in LinkedIn, this was in 2015 actually. He had a vision in which like he mentioned like back in the day, this was 2015, in which he said like almost 50% of the jobs that we currently have right now are going to disappear in the next 30 years. So when he pitched that in one of our global meetings, like this was like almost 10 years ago, I was like, I almost didn't believe him, you know. I was like, what is he saying? Like, how is, obviously in 2015 we didn't have like we were not as aware as like how AI was going to evolve, you know. But right now, this vision that he has like is actually manifesting. Eventually, like what this is going to cause is that a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. A lot of people are not going to know what they're going to do with their careers. A lot of people are just don't know what to do in life, you know, and having like mental strength is increasingly becoming more and more important. I can see that on my partner's business, actually, that every time there's more people that are looking for ways, you know, psychology is one of the main careers that is actually increasingly, unfortunately, increasingly growing in demand, because people need help. And that's a reality. People need help for several reasons. To link to how I see also like the world evolving, you know, I think like as an entrepreneur, it's super, super important also like on one side that you learn to, that you're connected with the problem, but also that you learn to value the journey that you're in, all those small wins and those small moments. Because, and this is something that actually happened to me like on the first year or second year of also launching our business, is that things go so fast that you don't take moments to actually disconnect and see that the journey that you are actually creating. And eventually that burns you out, because when actually you don't notice or give value to the things that you're creating until you reach a point that you're already burned out. And actually when you reach that point, you're like, hey, wait a second, there's a lot of building blocks, you know, that are happening that are actually like also worth recognizing and valuing, you know, and that I think it's super, super important. So those would be my sense on that. Yeah.
I wanted to thank you for pointing out the importance of celebration. Because when we started this company, out of a burnout from a couple of companies ago, we started having, and actually I have to thank also my girlfriend because of that. We used to have celebration between us as a couple, in which we give each other a champagne bottle, and then with a marker we write on it what's the goal that we have together. Like we put a goal on it, and then when we reach the goal, we open up the champagne and we have a good night. This worked great for us as a couple, so I decided to implement that as a company as well. And today was a tough day, so thanks for pointing that out, because I will go home in a better way than when I started the podcast.
Come on, we're having so much fun. And thank you guys so much for being so transparent. I love it when you said my mental health is not doing very well. Like, thank you for sharing that with us.
No, I mean, it works.
I really
It could be
appreciate
better.
your honesty. Like, that's what we're trying to build in this community, that the real deal, you know, not like, oh yeah, I'm a unicorn and I'm a millionaire in 5 days. No, that like the internet is full of that crap. This is all about us and the conversation we're building today. Just to wrap up, I think like entrepreneurs, of course, young entrepreneurs today are focusing a lot on the tech skills and developing hard skills and becoming very good at knowing like which tools to use and which not to. I think as well as like investing a lot of time and effort on building hard skill, we need, and the next generation needs to build soft skills. Soft skills like going to therapy. I think it's fundamental for any single person that wants to become a successful business or entrepreneur, business person or entrepreneur. Get a psychologist to support you, like get a coach to support you. Like life is tough and it's becoming really complicated. At least for me, I have a coach. Without her, I couldn't be here dealing with all these projects. She used to be my psychologist and now she's my coach and she helps me a lot. I personally think it's a really really nice investment. And also like companies as well, like even big companies, small companies, like stopping to congratulate your team, stopping to encourage them, to give them gifts, a bottle of champagne, whatever. Like we are not only machines, even though sometimes we feel like we are because of this extra usage of AI, we are still humans, and like we need to be celebrated. So for anyone listening, please like take a time to celebrate your team. We are not only here to produce and be high performance that all of us are, but really, I think if we forget the human side and the joy of building stuff, then like there is no sense of doing this business. Of course, we all want to make money and live a good life, but we are all humans at the end of the day. So like, let's keep the human side of business as well in these conversations, please. And this is a wrap up. I think we could have spent 3 more hours talking. I actually left so many questions behind, but I really love this focus of this conversation. Thank you so much, Maximo and Luca, for joining us, really. Thank you for everyone listening as well. I really hope you all enjoyed the conversation, and make sure to follow us on LinkedIn and Spotify and YouTube as Friends of Bata. So I'll see you on the next episodes.